Elora, Tales of the Realm. Potion of Everchanging Color by Lewis M. Pickman.
Aha! I've done it! Cried the alchemist as he saw the mixture begin to bubble and change color. He'd spent the better part of the last 5 years working on this project off and on. It cost him his savings, his family home, and even his marriage, but it was finally about to pay off. Quentin Fennerel was going to be the most famous potions man in all of Freecloud. His assistant, a dull little creature animated from sackcloth and hay, cocked its lopsided head to the side as it sat on the table and watched the mixture roil with curious sewn-on button eyes. Quentin lifted his assistant into the air, a smile of celebration growing wide on his face. "Do you see that? It's working!" he exclaimed to the creature. "The moment we've been waiting for all these years is finally almost here!" The creature waggled its stumpy appendages in approval of its master's success. Quentin could have sworn he saw it try to form a smile across its canvas face. He set it down on the table as the pair began to watch the mixture further, the assistant's leg stumps kicking back and forth over the side of the table in excitement. The mixture turned from a deep red to a light blue, then to green and yellow. With each moment, the bottled liquid continued to rapidly shift in color and increase in temperature. It came to a boil, and foam began to rise inside the bottle. Before either could react, the foam expanded into a thick, multicolored smoke that filled the room. "What in the hell?" exclaimed Quentin, coughing as the smoke began to infiltrate his sinuses. Reacting quickly, his assistant grabbed the still smoking bottle and hobbled towards the window. It used all its might to shove open the pane, and out the thing hopped. "Wait!" coughed Quentin, running to the window to try and snatch it. He looked out at the cobblestone road to see his assistant running as fast as its little stumps could carry it down the bustling city streets, holding the still smoking bottle. "Come back!" was all he could choke out as he reached his hand fruitlessly out the window, watching as the creature disappeared amongst the bustling crowd in a technicolor haze. The assistant wasn't entirely certain where it was going. It wasn't entirely certain that it was, in general. Thoughts did not come easy to the little thing, but it didn't seem to mind. It always felt that it preferred listening over thinking anyway. However, in this instance, there was one thought in the creature's mind. Run. As the sack creature ran its best through the busy streets of Northen, the mixture in the bottle continued to smoke, causing passers-by to cough and shout curses at the strange thing hustling through the street. It did not stop to listen, not that it would understand, but instead continued on as though its life depended on it. Maybe its life did depend on it, it tried to think, but decided it was much too occupied to think that and opted to keep running instead. It ran underneath a moving carriage of cabbages, causing the driver to attempt to swerve around it. Some cabbages broke free of their restraints and began to rain upon the creature like boulders. It tried to dodge them, but its limited form left its movements futile against the hail of grain. The cabbage came tumbling down upon the assistant, knocking it to the ground and sending the bottle rolling across the stones and into a nearby alley, smoke trailing behind it as it spilled its contents. As the assistant struggled underneath the leafy orbs, the driver angrily hopped from the carriage and stormed towards the rear to find out exactly what the fuss was.
"Good gods!" he exclaimed. "My produce! Look what you've done, you little wretch!"
He reached down and snagged the assistant, lifting it up to get a better look at it. It kicked and squirmed in his grasp, but the gap in strength between the two was too vast.
"You're gonna pay for each and every cabbage you ruined," grumbled the driver, "if you even have money."
The assistant shook its head. The driver grumbled.
"Of course you don't. What exactly do you have?"
It looked towards the alleyway, now filled with multicolored smoke, and motioned its stump towards the bottle.
"Huh?"
The driver looked, and dragging the assistant along with him, walked into the alleyway. He picked up the bottle, still half full of liquid, various colors surging and reflecting inside. He weighed it a bit in his hand, tossed it up and down lightly a couple of times, before he finally released the creature in his grasp.
"Well, well, you fancy yourself some sort of alchemist, do you? Looks good. Looks powerful."
The creature jumped up as high as it could to try and claim back its prize, but the man lifted the bottle aloft.
"Oh?"
he teased cruelly.
"Gonna have to jump a little higher than that if you want it so bad. That is, if there's any left when I'm done with it. Consider this a down payment for my cabbage.
Before the creature could jump again, the man had gulped a mouthful of potion into his gullet. His self-satisfied smirk quickly melted as he began to belch up multicolored smoke. He coughed, his eyes beginning to rapidly change color, and his form slowly diminished. The hair on his body grew rough and leafy as his skin became greener with each passing moment. He curled up into a neat little ball as he continued to shrink further and further, the bottle falling out of his now non-existent hands and back into the clutches of the assistant. He let out one more gasp of smoke as his mouth disappeared underneath a large green leaf. He had turned into a cabbage. The creature took a step back, its feeble mind incapable of processing what it just witnessed. Where there had once been an ordinary delivery driver was now a still-smoking piece of produce. The assistant poked the cabbage with one of its stumps. It rolled back and forth harmlessly against the cobblestone, showing no signs of life. The creature stepped closer to it to inspect it, its mind trying its absolute hardest to think something. It felt dampness around its leg stumps and looked down to find it had stepped into a small puddle of the potion's liquid that had spilled over the ground moments ago. Its stumps tingled and began to smoke as it watched with curious button eyes. It wished it could think. Maybe thinking something would allow it to escape this situation. It felt a lightning shoot up from its legs to his head. Fear coursed through its straw. Fear of non-existence. Fear of not seeing Quentin again. In that moment of fear, it finally thought something. I want to go home. Another zap of lightning, and another thought came forward. Did I just think that? The zaps increased as the puddle began to boil and diminish with a puff of smoke. What's happening? Am I thinking? Are these thoughts? Are these my thoughts? I want to go home. I don't like it out here. That cabbage person was mean. I didn't like him. Why did I run off? I just wanted to keep Quentin safe. On and on the thoughts rolled through the creature's mind as the puddle finally vanished. It stood there, looking at the dark cobblestone for what seemed like a lifetime, before it finally looked up at the rest of the world with bright, fresh eyes. I think it's time to go home now. With that, the assistant began to walk away from the cabbage in the alleyway and back towards the direction it had come from. This time, however, it took the time to observe everyone and everything around it. Faces wrinkled and young alike discussed the news of the day. The sun shimmered in the vast blue sky. Birds flew overhead on the warm summer winds, carrying along with it the smell of salt from Northern Harbor. As it took its stroll and truly saw the world for the first time, it noticed among the crowd a figure it recognized, charging towards him. It smiled. It had never smiled before, but it was especially happy to be doing so now that it could. When Quentin caught up to it, he was out of breath. He bent down to scold it for running off, but before he could, it waddled up next to him, placed the potion bottle gingerly on the ground next to him, and hugged him tightly. Quentin was taken aback. His assistant had never shown this sort of complex behavior before. He wondered if he should take it back to the enchanter to observe the deviation, but his line of thinking was cut short by the next thing he heard.
I missed you,
the creature croaked out. Its voice was small, no more than a raspy whisper. Quentin stammered. What?
I missed you,
it repeated.
Can we go home?
He picked up the thing and held it aloft as he had done so many times before, but this time he stared in wonder. When did you learn to talk? The creature wiggled its legs happily and replied,
The potion let me. It helps you get what you want.
Quentin placed the creature on his shoulder and picked the potion carefully off the ground. You mean it can grant wishes? The creature smiled again, even wider this time.
I think so. I think, so it must grant wishes. Can we go home now?
Quentin smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. His only companion had returned to him safely, and his life's work was, at last, complete. Yes, Patch. Let's go home. Patch smiled wider. For the first time in its life, it couldn't be happier. If you enjoyed that story, check out our website, EloraTCG.com, for more.
Please subscribe to our mailing list in order to be notified when our Gamefound campaign goes live. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.